Welcome to Health Students Watching. As we begin our lesson, let's review some of the things we've learned from the beginning of our book. What is the key to being safe? Students watching? And here, raise your hand. Madison? Lexi?
Aware.
Being aware is right. What is the emergency number to call for help in the United States? Students watching? And here, Carson?
911.
911 is right. What type of clothing should you wear at dusk? Anyone? Jacob?
Bright light clothing.
Yes, light colored clothing is correct. When getting off of a bus, where should you cross? Anyone? Adriana?
In the front.
In front, right. When riding a bike, what should you wear, students watching? Anyone? Deb?
A helmet.
A helmet is right. What is the safest place to be, or where is the safest place to be in a tornado? Students watching? Anyone? Asa?
Basement.
In a basement is right. Now, today in our lesson, we're going to be thinking of some more things that we want to do as far as being safe and as far as practicing good manners. When I say the word manners, there are things that we can do to practice having good manners with others. In our stories today, we're going to read about a specific time when you can practice good manners with your guest. Raise your hand if you've ever had people over to your house. Oh, I see lots of hands raised here. I see some students watching as well. Keep your hand raised if you'd like to share with us who those guests were that were coming over. Kathleen?
The bassises.
So some friends of hers. How many of you have had grandparents come and visit? How many of you have had cousins? Any neighbors? Any families from church? Any other friends? Oh, so lots of you have had guests. So hands, you may put those down. When we have our guests over, there are certain things that we can do to have good manners when our guests come. Let's read some words and we'll talk more about those good manners. Read our first word, Jackson.
Manners.
Yes, being polite and courteous. Jacob.
Courteous. Courtesy.
Yes, courtesy is being kind and polite when you have those guests over. Madison.
Polite.
Yes, making sure that we're saying and doing the right thing. So let's open to page 120. Page 120, you see the B at the top. Be courteous. Looking in the box, we're going to practice courtesy by showing respect and kindness to people older and wiser than you. As we begin reading this story, we're going to find out more about the Taylor family. And in this story, we're going to see that courtesy is always the right thing to do. So I want you to think about some things that they say, some of the things that they do that are courteous to their guest. Begin reading for us, Tyra.
Emma meets the Howards.
We're on page 120, using good.
Using good manners is simply treating others the way you want to be treated. It is important to learn and to practice courtesy as you grow older. 1 Peter 3:8 reminds us to be courteous. When you are courteous, you show respect to adults, to your friends, and to your family. You become more thoughtful of others.
Good accuracy. Pause. When I say treating others as you would want to be treated, what does that sound like, students watching? The what, Asa? Cadence?
The golden rule.
The golden rule. So this is part of that golden rule, being courteous. When we think about courtesy, we especially want to be courteous to those older than us and to those who are wiser than us. Even the Bible reminds us that we are to be courteous to our authority and to those older and wiser than us. There's a couple things that we can show to be courteous. One of them is showing what, students watching? Morgan. Kindness. And then the other is showing what? Starts with an R. Did you find it? Asa.
Righteousness.
No. Deb. Respect. So we want to be kind, we want to be respectful, and that will be thoughtful of others. Let's find out about a couple specific ways we can do this with guests. So let's look at the next page. Emma meets the Howards. How many of you, when you have had guests over, you went to help open the door for your guests? Raise your hand. Oh, I see some hands here and students watching. Good, hands down. That is a courteous thing to do, making sure those guests feel welcome. You always want to be welcoming to those guests who are coming. So thinking of those things you can say, thinking of those actions that you can show to make them feel welcomed. Let's read some more. Continue reading for us, Aiden.
Emma meets the Howards. Emma, is almost time for our dinner guests to arrive. You have cleaned your room and washed your face and hands. Yes, Mom, but I've never met Miss and Mrs. Howard.
Engage.
Wash your face.
Yes, making sure that she looks clean and neat. So washing her hands, washing her face. It's good when you have guests over to make them feel welcomed by looking sharp. So you want to show them that you've taken time to look your best and you want to welcome them into your home. That's being polite. So politeness here is treating others as you would like to be treated, and you want to use those good manners in doing so. Now, right now, how does Emma feel about the guests coming, Adriana?
Strange.
Yes, she feels a little strange. Why does she say that she feels strange, Dev?
She has never ate with people she doesn't know.
Right, she doesn't know them. So let's see what happens to help her make herself feel more comfortable and the guests feel welcomed as well.
Don't know very many people. I want to make them feel welcome. After tonight, you will probably know a lot about them.
Very smooth. Now let's pause. Did the father know these people as well, Tyra?
No.
No, so they were new guests for the father as well. They were Mom's friends, but they wanted to make them feel welcome. Why did Mom especially want to make them feel welcome, Cadence?
Because they just moved.
Yes, they just moved to town. That is a very thoughtful thing to take note of. Noticing when someone is new so that you can make them feel welcome. Now let's find out more. Why did Mom especially want to noticing when someone is new so that you can make them feel welcome. Now let's find out more about what they do to make those guests feel welcome. Continue, Anna.
Emma still felt funny inside. Sometimes it was hard to meet new people, but because her mom thought it was important to be friendly, Emma decided to do the same. She stood by the window and watched for the Howards to arrive. Mom finished making a salad while Dad put the vacuum cleaner away. Everyone had jobs to do so that they would all be ready on time.
Yes, good expression. Keep it smooth. Pause. So right now, Emma's not quite comfortable, but she makes the decision that she is going to be polite because her mom wants her to be polite, and it's a good thing to do. Sometimes we might feel a little nervous. Sometimes we might feel a little shy around guests. But we can decide that it is a good thing to show kindness and courtesy to others, and that takes a decision, and then we can help ourselves make that right decision to help our guests feel comfortable. Now, there was something that Mom wanted Emma to do to help also prepare for these guests coming. What did Emma begin to do, Lexi? Who is she looking for? Dev?
Angel.
No. Adriana?
The Howard.
The Howards. She's waiting and watching. It's always good to make sure that you're watching and you're aware of when your guests would be coming. You wouldn't want to go get so busy doing something else that they were to arrive and catch you in the middle of doing something you weren't prepared for. So she's watching. What is Mom doing? Madison? Dev?
Finish making the salad.
Mom is finishing the meal. What is Dad doing, Morgan?
He was putting the vacuum on.
Yes, so they're doing all of these jobs and they're waiting. They're going to be ready when their guests come. Continue reading for us, Una.
Emma, would you like to invite our guests inside? Dad asked. Me? She asked. She wished her older brother Andrew were home. He could do it instead. Sure, it's not hard, Dad explained. After they ring the doorbell or knock on the door, open the door, smile, and say, "Hi, I'm Emma. Welcome to our home. It's just part of being friendly to others." "But I'm too shy," Emma said. "Will you do it this time?" Dad smiled. Why don't we do it together?
Good expression. Pause. Why did Emma not want to open the door for the Howards? Students watching? Asa.
She was nervous.
Yes, she was nervous. Who suggested that they do it together, Dev?
Dad.
Dad, well done. Now, what is something that we could do if we're shy or nervous about something? It could be a guest coming or it could be another experience. Cadence?
Pray.
Pray, exactly. God can help with that confidence. God can help you feel comfortable in welcoming others or to overcome maybe a little bit of apprehension or being shy or timid in a situation. Let's read more about how they make the Howards feel welcome. Continue, Jimmy. Emma thought. Right after Dad smiled.
Emma thought that was a good idea. As soon as the Howards pulled into the driveway, Emma yelled, "Hey, they're here." She and Dad stood at the door after the doorbell rang. Dad opened the door and said, "Hello, you must be the Howards. I'm Mike Taylor, and this is Emma. Welcome to our home." Emma smiled up at the new faces. Dad held out his hand to shake theirs, but Emma kept her hand behind her back.
Good accuracy. Pause. Who opened the door for the Howards? Students watching? Lexi.
Dad.
Yes, and Emma is right there to welcome them as well. Dad speaks and wants to welcome them to their home. What does Dad and the guests do, Dev?
Shake hands.
Shake hands, but Emma's not quite so sure what she should do. Let's find out what choice she makes. Continue, Carson.
Just then, Emma's mom came out of the kitchen and gave Mrs. Howard a hug. I'm so glad you could come for a visit. Emma, her mom, and Dad, and Mr. and Mrs. Howard sat down in the living room for a few minutes. Dad asked Mr. Howard about their new house and about his new job. He found out that Mr. Howard liked to play golf. They decided to visit a golf course together soon. Mrs. Howard asked Emma, "What grade are you in?" Emma looked at her mother, who nodded her head so that Emma would answer. "I'm in 3rd grade at Valley Christian School," she answered. Emma thought she should say something else, so she added, "My best friend is Ava, and Ava is in my class."
Good expression. Now let's pause. Do you see how Mom and Dad are trying to make their guests feel comfortable by asking them questions, finding out more things about them? When Emma has her turn to speak, what does she tell the guest about? Students watching? And Cadence.
What grade she is, what school she goes to, and who her best friend is.
Exactly. Perfect. Good things to share with her company, with her guests, and with these friends. Now, why do you think she's giving all of this information? It's being polite, yes, but what else is she trying to do, Adriana? Should she just say yes or no? No, right. She should give more information to keep the conversation going and to show that she's interested in talking to them. That shows that she is really trying to be polite and kind, not just answering yes or not just answering no or just giving one sentence or one phrase. She's continuing to try to make her guests feel comfortable by continuing the conversation. Continue reading for us, Jackson.
"How nice," Miss Howard said. She had a very kind smile. You and Ava spend time with each other away from school?" "Oh, yes," Emma said. "We have sleepovers and we go to the same church." Emma was feeling better about meeting these people. They were really nice.
Good expression. Now let's pause. So now their guest, Mrs. Howard, is able to ask Emma a question and then she can answer it. The conversation is going back and forth. It's not just one person talking the whole time or about one of their similar interests. The conversation goes back and forth. So when you're talking with your guest, you can answer their questions, ask them a question back, and that will keep the conversation polite and where you're not just focused on yourself or one specific thing that you're interested in, you're going back and forth with a conversation just like Emma is doing with Mrs. Howard. Now let's continue reading more about their mealtime together. Continue, Amaya.
During the meal, Emma learned more about Mr. and Mrs. Howard. They liked to play games and they enjoyed hiking in the mountains.
Very smooth, Lexi.
When it was time for the Howards to go home, Emma was sad. Her mother had been right. Emma learned many things about Mr. and Mrs. Howard. They were not strangers anymore.
Very smooth. Pause. There's a key word here that happens a couple of times, and it's the word learned. Throughout their questions, throughout the mealtime, Emma learned about these people. Tell me something she learned, students watching. And Jackson.
That Mr. Howard likes golfing.
Yes, that he likes golfing. Give me something else she learned, Dev.
They were not strangers.
Yes, they were not strangers because she learned about their fun things that they enjoy doing. What did they enjoy, Cadence?
Mr. and Mrs. Howard enjoyed hiking and playing games.
Perfect. So she learned things. In order for you to have these guests and make them feel comfortable and for them not to be strangers anymore, you want to learn things about them. So throughout their conversation, she's learning about them, and that's making her and them feel comfortable, and then they are not strangers because now she knows many things about them. She is excited now that she's been able to build this friendship and have this conversation with their guests, and so she doesn't feel as shy anymore. Let's find out what she decides that she thinks would be enjoyable with these new people. Continue reading for us, Jacob. Emma whispered. Right after they were not strangers anymore.
Emma whispered in her dad's ear, "May I open the door for them when they leave?" Dad smiled. "Of course you may."
Good expression. Pause. So what does Emma offer to do, students watching? And Tyra?
Open the door for the house.
Yes, so she's not shy anymore. She's ready to give them that great welcome and then give them that final goodbye. Continue reading for us, Kaden.
As the Howards thanked Emma's family for the nice meal, Emma walked to the door. Mr. Howard, Emma said as she held out her hand to shake his, "Thank you for coming to our house. I hope you will come again soon." She shook Mrs. Howard's hand too.
Very smooth, Presley.
Later, when Emma was helping Mom with the dishes, she admitted that her parents had been right about the whole evening. Next time, she said, "I will open the door and shake their hands. I'm not too shy anymore."
Good expression. Pause. So she was ready. She was excited that she had met these people and she learned a lot from her time with the guests, the Howards. Let's look at the Bible says, 1 Peter 3:8. Read that for us, Asa.
The Bible says, "Finally, be ye all of one mind, having compassion of another, love as brethren, be pitiful, be courteous, courteous."
Yes.
1 Peter 3:8.
Yes, let's take a look at a couple of these words here. So compassion is having that kind heart. Then we're to love as brethren or brothers and sisters. We want to be loving. So we want to have that kind, compassionate heart. The word pitiful here means tender-hearted. That means thoughtful. So you want to think about others, not just about yourself, but thinking about them, and then being courteous. The Bible wants us to be kind, polite, and thoughtful of others. Let's read about meeting new people. Read that for us. Dev?
Meeting new people. Have you ever been fearful or shy around new people? Meeting new people gives you good practice in learning to be polite. Emma quickly learned that Mr. and Mrs. Howard were very nice. As she talked with them, she realized that they were not strangers anymore.
Now pause. If you're going to meet someone new, you might feel nervous. You might feel afraid. But there are some things that you can do to help yourself not to be nervous. We talked about praying. And then one thing you can begin by thinking of is have some questions ready so that you can learn some of those things from those people. And then by the time they get talking, then you're starting your conversation. You're becoming polite and friendly with them. That will help you not to feel so nervous anymore. So take out a pencil. Let's look at, think about it, apply it. We're going to write 3 polite questions that you could ask a guest in your home. So think about some things that if mom or dad were to invite maybe some people over from church, maybe some of your cousins, maybe an aunt or an uncle, or a grandma or grandpa, what are some questions that you could have ready to ask them that will show interest and be polite? Raise your hand when you've thought of one. Students watching? Morgan.
How is your house?
Yes, maybe how are the things where you live? And they could talk about some of the things that have happened lately, maybe some of the trips that they've taken. Raise your hand if you have another question ready, Deb.
How are you?
Yes, how are you? Tell me about some of the things that you've been doing. Give me another question, Emily.
I'm so. Thank you for coming.
Good, and now let's think about a question that we could ask them where they could explain. Cadence.
How have you liked them lately?
Okay, so how are you? Some of the events that have taken place, you could ask them some of the things that they enjoy doing. What do you enjoy doing? Maybe they can talk about a fun activity that they've done recently. Any other question that you've thought of, Jacob?
How is your new job?
Yes, if you know they've done something new lately, if you learned about something that they have just recently done, you could say ask specifically about how that new event is going. Kaden.
Did you like your old house?
Okay, so if they've moved, you could ask them about where they came from. So if you have some specific questions of information about that person, you could ask them some specific things like that. Students watching, you can complete writing 3 of these questions here at the bottom of this page, and then we'll continue more learning about how to be courteous in our next lesson.